Oh, I can't. Okay, let's read this. I need to calm down. 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 See? Exactly. Joe's right. Joe is absolutely right. Now, let's talk about other stuff that Joe's right about. All right, let's talk about this. I want to talk about our summer split. I want to talk about our coaching change. I want to talk about MSI. But I feel like anytime I try to be transparent, anytime I try to speak directly to our fans about the world, whether it's an announcement or an apology for something dumb I did, there's just this barrier almost. Like I can't get through to them and say exactly what I mean, say exactly how much I love T1 with all my heart. Some of that is on me, and I acknowledge that. So I'm here to tell you more about myself and about what T1, why T1 means the world to me. Okay. I think it started in a restaurant in Madrid in 2019. The deal between Comcast Spectacor, the company I'd worked my whole professional life, and SK Telecom had just closed. I'd become the CEO of T1, and I had gone to Madrid for the quarters and semis of the World Championship. I just wanted to take time to just observe, I just wanted to take time to just observe, to take in the greatness of T1, and at the center of the greatness was, of course, Faker. I'd known who he was for a long, long time, and I'd been in esports for a while, and it's almost impossible to be in the scene and not know who he is. Even when I was working in Overwatch, Faker's name had spoken at many meetings. His presence, his persona, his celebrity, they were all something to admire. So in Madrid, I went for dinner with him and his family, and we found only Korean restaurant in the city center and got a spot in the back. I had a translator with me, and I did my best to just listen. We spoke about a few things and the upcoming matches and what he and the team were focusing on. His grandma was there, and partway through the meal, she made me this little dish. It's called a samjang, and it's a sort of spicy... Wait, the dish is called samjang? The sauce. I know what samjang is. It's the red paste that's like really salty and stuff. It's really good on K-barbecue. It's a sort of spicy soybean paste, and it can go in a lettuce leaf. And it was an acquired Korean taste, and my palate was used to, you know, Philly cuisine. But I certainly enjoyed it. I said thank you, and we continued chatting. One of the things that stood out that night was how deeply connected Faker was to his family. He's compassionate beyond his years, and the way that he interacts with everyone close to him really shows you the type of person he is. Sitting in the restaurant, I knew that all I ever wanted to do with my time at T1 was to allow him and his teammates to flourish, show the world what they're capable of in and out of the game. Later on in the meal, I was trying all sorts of things, and I really wanted to make myself another little lettuce wrap with one that the grandma had made me. So I grabbed all the ingredients and put it together, and as I'm eating it, I can see her watching me. She had this big smile on her face, and she nods her head. I can envision it. Yeah, I know what he's talking about when someone's like culturally excited about someone else, you know, enjoying like something that is a part of their culture. I don't know exactly what she was thinking at that moment, and we didn't say anything. But I hope she saw me trying to respect their culture and to be part of their lives or of their family, if only for a brief few hours. I think back to that moment all the time, not just because it was the start of my journey with T1, but also because of how it made me feel. T1, for all intents and purposes, is basically the Korean national team. Our players are adored beyond belief. They're superstars, and for Koreans, they are theirs. And I learned quickly that as an American, I would be viewed differently than how a local might. I understood that and everything that came with it, but honestly, the more time I spend in Korea, the more I feel like my values, the way that I see our team, aren't different from the passion that all of our staff have in the T1 office. And I think to explain that, I have to tell you a story about 15-year-old Joe. I've worked since I was in my first couple of years of high school. I've always been a part of my life. My dad was an insurance underwriter in New York back when I was younger, and he lost his job while I was in middle school. My mom is a first-generation Italian. She came from, I can't say that, and I'm not going to. Joel will make fun of me the next time I see him. A small town on the coast of Italy. When she was just 8 years old, she brought with her the Italian mentality about family. It meant everything to us. At the time when my dad was out of work, my older brother was playing baseball at a high level, and on his way to Penn State, my sister was too young, so I knew that I needed to get a job to help out the house. I started in the kitchen at a hospital cleaning dishes, and then I moved up to help making food for the doctors. Then I got a job at a cheesesteak shop in Jersey. I've always worked, and I've always admired a great work ethic. That's one of the things that my family instilled in me from a young age, that and loyalty and honesty. Sometimes I might be too honest, and I've learned that for sure, but it's part of who I am. I've always been there, and it's something that I've tried to instill in everyone who works at T1. Look, I still struggle with being an outsider. I don't see eye to eye with a lot of the owners in the LCK, and still doing business in Korea is not at all like it is in the US. But when I said that I didn't feel that different, it's because I see our staff, our players, and the values in me, the desire to work hard, the passion to improve, the loyalty to the team. Let me give you an example. There's been a lot of questions about our decision last month to move on from Polt as the head coach and to bring up Bengi. I think it's important to start that with last summer, we added Polt to step into a larger role after we let Danny and Zephyr go. He completely reinvigorated the team. He brought this new voice, and he was a big reason we went on the run that we did towards the end of the year and ended up one game short of making the final at Worlds, and that carried over into spring of this season. when we went undefeated. The first time any any team has done that in the history of the LCK, but one thing I always tell my COO, Josh, that winning masks everything. When the LoL team would do well, the T1 offers would be in a good mood, and all of our issues, our warts were covered, but they couldn't be hidden forever, and MSI exposed us in a way that we didn't see coming. People can talk about the draft and all that until they're blue in the face. I'm being flamed right now. Everyone is a draft expert. I get it, but it wasn't just about that. There were these deficiencies in our process and our day-to-day that were holding us back. Losing MSI the way that we did wasn't the end of the world, and neither were the few hiccups at the start of summer. But I saw our team stuttering, and nothing was changing. I think any leader, myself included, reaches a point when their voice just stops being heard. Before summer playoffs, Josh called me and said that the players wanted to speak to me as a collective, as one. Josh spends almost every single day with them. He sees them when they let their guards down and play FIFA after hours in the facility. He's there with them when they eat and when they crack jokes with one another, and his relationship with them made them feel more comfortable to me. So in the practice room, Josh called me on a video meeting, and one by one I heard from each of the players. This call was important because they forget that our players, for the most part, they're just kids, and it's hard to be honest, to be really truthful in a situation like that. But they were frustrated with the way that things were going, and that was a desire to return to some of the systems we had in place in the past years that we had gotten away from. And I have a trust in these kids because we've built it up over time. From my dinner with Faker in Madrid to meeting Keria and his family at MSI, we know one another, and I heard them loud and clear. These are really nice photos, by the way, Joe. You should... I'm surprised I've never seen these ones before now. Actually, I think I've seen the Faker one, but I don't think I've seen the Gumayusi one. But these are really nice photos. There was one thing that needed to change, or one reason we made Bengi head coach, but one thing Faker spoke about was the way that the team operated and the way that it was the 3 World Championships. Of course, the game is much different now than it was then, but the way that our coaches gave feedback, the way that we constructed drafts, stuff like that was more effective back then, he said, and I believed him. A couple of things we were working on for Worlds is making sure Keria's voice is heard in draft. He's one of the smartest players in the game, and during spring, hit a larger role in Champ Select. For some reason, we got away from that in MSI, and in summer, he plays the game 3 steps ahead of everyone else, and when you have someone like that, you need to lean on him. He's got the same innate understanding of the game that Faker does. Man, I remember when we were doing some testing at Nike in January 2020, Faker did some of the reaction and memorization tests that Nike had all his athletes do. He placed the 98th percentile on every athlete who's done those tests, and I just remember after he finished, he looked at me and he went, "Did I beat Uzi?" He's talented, of course, but his desire to win. That's what I felt like when I spoke to all of our players. I saw him in them. They want to win so badly, and yes, of course, he did beat Uzi's score. That conversation we all had, it all meant a lot to me. I felt like I had earned their trust, and I saw some of the values I tried to add to T1, but at the end of the day, it was my decision to move on from Pult, and I didn't want some soulless corporate message. No, it was my decision, and if it gives us a 4% better chance to win Worlds, then that's all that I care about. I wish that pro players cared about this in regards to vitamization and draft and runes, but it's all that we care about. I see our staff role players, and I see their values in me, the desire to work hard and the passion to improve loyalty. Joe Marsh. Right now, I'm writing this. Bengi and a group of our players, former and coaches, are meeting at Faker's house to work on different ways to succeed at Worlds. I know that the vast majority of our fans know how hard our team works and how badly we want to win. That's why when I see the trucks and all that stuff, my reaction is a little different than most people's. Yes, I find it frustrating, counterproductive to what we're trying to do, but honestly, when I see the Western fans laugh and say, "Oh, those crazy fans, they're like that with BTS and T1 and everything else, they're insane," it's not true at all. Yes, there's some outliers for sure, but that's just the nature of being as popular as T1. We have all types of fans, but this idea that Korean fans are unhinged and have a negative impact on the team, it's just nonsense. I mean, I'm from Philly, all right? There's a Wikipedia page that says the title, Philadelphia Eagles Santa Claus Incident. If you know, you know. All I'm saying is that the passion shows itself in weird ways. I wish that I could show those fans, the ones that send our players and our coaches horrible messages online, how hard our team works. The product that you see on match days, the work guys, the LoL team is like an iceberg. The majority of what under the water, true. There's a place for criticism and frustration. I get that if you made it to 2-1, be mad at me, I can take it, but look at someone like Gumayusi, who's 20 years old, 20. He's carrying so much on his shoulders, and it's so hard for him when people come after. He can't help but feel down. He knows he's had a tough split, and he's one of the most confident young men I've ever met in my life, but I know that some of the messages you receive have hurt him. My job to protect our guys is one thing I'm still working hard on. This image is also extremely amazing. And then because I get to see how hard they work every day, how desperately they want to be in San Francisco for the finals in November, that's what motivates me to work as hard as I possibly can. They push me, and they push the organization as a whole. I love T1, and it's hard for me to put into words how much it means to me, as my job as CEO is to give the best chance to succeed right now, while making sure that we're here in 15 years. That LoL is still here in 15 years. I want to see Faker with some of the gray hair, with a few more world championships, holding down mid lane as he always has. I want to take our team places never thought we could go. I want our org. I hope that people understand that's what I understand that's why the way that I am. I know that no matter what happens this fall, we'll keep fighting together as one, because that's who we are. This is probably one of the best pieces I've ever read from a CEO in my 18 years in esports. But also, people got to understand that Joe is one of the most transparent and non-bullshit CEOs. And what I mean by that is that you guys got to understand that there's always we're in draft. I mean, that's fine. But I just want to conclude this. There's a lot of people who they like the idea and the image that they might have, but it's not actually who they are behind the scenes. I think that even this is not totally reflective of who Joe is behind the scenes. I think he's actually better than this piece can ever hope to really capture behind the scenes. I genuinely mean that. And in the fucking 18 years that I've been around, and all the life experiences that I've been in, a fly on the wall in so many different orgs, like with like general managers, owners, you know, whatever. There's a lot of people who are forward facing only in the face of adversity, and then they're a complete ghost in the face of criticism and darkness, and then, you know, they'll come out guns blazing in the events that, like, you know, things are going well around them. And I mean, that's just, I mean, it's how it is. Joe's a real one. Honestly, I mean, I think that there's not a lot of real ones, to be honest. This is the other thing that I really hate about, like, social media, and, like, when you guys see streamers get canceled, or when you see people get canceled over things, and you have all these fans come out of the woodwork. Or, like, remember the thing I tweeted on 2 years ago in summer? I forget what his name was, right? It was like Fed or something, and I made that tweet that you never actually know who someone is because of how they portray, right? And I always advocate that actions over a prolonged period of time are infinitely more honest than any words someone says. So you watch their actions over a long period of time. And I think that if you do that, you'll notice that Joe's always there in dark times and in good times, and that Joe attempts consistently to be overly transparent, and he doesn't go out of his way to be overly bullshit, and he doesn't go out of his way to write bullshit PR statements to other people and write, you know, completely fake messages. Like, yeah, it's just good. It's just Joe's good.